Hello, my name is Vikram Murthy, and together with Asha Murthy, my co-author, we have written this book that you're just about to read. This book is set in the iConnected world, a world to which you belong. It's a world whose zeitgeist is about unbounded collaboration, relentless and ubiquitous connections, and radical relatedness. It's a world whose very hallmark is the rise of the individual, you. Asha and I truly believe that in such an eye-connected world of networks, relationships, and democratized capacity, only virtuous and purposeful leadership can deliver authentic consequences. If it's based on morally uplifting practices and credible action that is forged in the crucible of strong character. Such leadership is predicated, according to Asha and I, on three dimensions of leaders' futures mindsets, as we call them, and 5 ways of being. And I will very briefly run through these 3 dimensions and these 5 ways of being in the next few minutes. The first dimension of leaders' futures mindset is focused attention. What is focused attention? Focused attention says that in the theater of life, whatever gets lit by the spotlight of your attention gets lived. Or in other words, you must show up for your own life and pay attention to its particulars. Because the quality and content of your life depends on the direction and the quality of attention you pay to it. See, you have very little control over what happens to you in life. But what you can control is how you think about it. That is what is called metacognition, thinking about thinking. And thinking about thinking requires you to use the spotlight of your attention very wisely so that what you pay attention to contributes to the substance of your life. Collaborative spirit is the second dimension of leaders' futures mindset. Human survival is underwritten by a strategy of cooperation. Shared community is the very heart of human sociality. While evolution may have pre-programmed us to win in a preemptive race by competing with others, paradoxically, we have chosen to meet and win the challenges of life by cooperating and working with others, ultrasociality. Therefore, finding and keeping friends is a huge part of each one of our existences. And the need to understand the social, emotional, and cognitive components of not just identifying people who can be good friends, but thereafter bonding with them socially and building trustworthy relationships is vital if you are to succeed in life. Which brings us to social media. Social media somehow compels us to believe that the more connections we have online, the more friends we have. In short, it reduces friendship to a metric of just sheer numbers. The truth of the matter is Social capital is a limited commodity that you have. You can choose to spend it either by distributing it widely but sparsely, or by distributing it narrowly but intensely. Collaborative spirit is something that you need to understand and leverage if you are to live in an iConnected world. Collective wisdom is the third dimension of Leaders Futures mindset, and it's quite complementary to collaborative spirit that we just spoke about. Collective wisdom is a phenomenon that's anchored in our need as individuals to be able to augment our capabilities and rise above our own individual capacities to achieve great things. When you talk of collective wisdom, words like transcendence, emergence, spirituality, and connectedness become de rigueur. To be able to understand how you as an individual can connect to the wider world to form a network of actualization that is far superior to anything that you could achieve on your own, you need to understand this dimension of collective wisdom. Now it is time to talk about 5 ways of being, the virtues of being a leader. As I told you earlier, leadership in the iConnected world needs to be virtuous and needs to be purposeful. So for you to understand and practice these 5 ways of being becomes really important. Being present is about acting in knowledge of who you are. Knowledge of who you are is really about understanding the core of your individuality. Now, the core of your individuality is an integration of 3 strands: your big 5 or your personality traits, which is really a genetic component. Then there is what is called the characteristic adaptations. These are the rules, the heuristics, the defense mechanisms you learn as you go through the rough and tumble of your life. And finally, there is this thing called the life story. Now, this is an intellectual concoction. It's a continuously updating life narrative that you create for yourself as you look back to your past, as you experience your present, and as you aspire to a future. When all these 3 come together, they make you. Knowing who you are, you next need to leverage it to take action. Because human beings approach any challenge by acting. Now, there are 2 aspects to this action. The first, of course, is understanding what motivates you to approach any challenge and act at the peak of your abilities. This gets into the area of intrinsic motivation, of competence, of relatedness, of autonomy, and what these needs do to you and how they get you to be the best you can be in action. But there's another part to this, another conceptual strand about the experience itself. You need to understand which experiences get you to feel absorbed, get you to feel that you're doing something that has significance, that has meaning. Because once you understand those kind of experiences and focus on them, you will be in flow. You will be vitally engaged. The second way of being is being good. Being good at its core is about taking a strengths-based perspective to both personal and organizational change. The legacy view that people take when faced with challenges is to drill down to the root cause of failure. This is problem-centric thinking. What being good as a virtue argues is that you're much better off with possibility-centric thinking, where you try and find out the root cause of success in the positive core of an organization and its people. Because when you look for the root cause of success, you're likely to energize both your people and the organization to find brand new solutions to problems that were otherwise intractable. Being good also co-opts this whole area of positive psychology to argue that positive emotions do indeed lead to an authentic life. Evolution makes us very risk averse, and therefore we end up preferencing negative emotions like fear, anger, disgust. But what positive emotions like awe, compassion, forgiveness, love, mercy, etc. do is that they have great adaptive benefits. They broaden our repertoire of cognition and action. And in doing so, they set us up to create transformative change in both our growth and development into the future. Being in touch is the third way of being. It takes you into the domain of emotions. Being in touch says that understanding and managing yourself and others requires you to connect to the heart. Cognitive competence, IQ, is enough to get you a ticket into the ballpark of work and play. But once you're there, what will distinguish you as a star, what will make you special as a leader, is the way you use your emotional intelligence and your social intelligence competencies. Emotional intelligence competencies get you to be self-aware and get you to be self-controlled, so that you're able to allocate your attention strategically to things that matter, and so that you're able to energize your willpower by understanding your hot and cold cognition buttons. Social intelligence gets you into the domain of understanding others, by understanding that core reality that emotions are contagious, and that if you really want to connect with somebody else, you need to move in time, place, and identity and become that other so you can understand what they're feeling, thinking, willing, and doing. And finally, there is the holy grail of leadership, which is this area of relationship management, which is about social intelligence used to build relationships of reciprocal trust, love, forgiveness, and connection. So when you look at that holy grail, the ultimate trail is compassion. Compassion that takes you from mere sympathy and mere empathy into this domain of complete reciprocity, where they is you. The fourth way of being is being creative. Regardless of your operating context, whether it's orderly and driven by the laws of cause and effect, or unorderly with dynamically emerging patterns, it is your creativity that will determine how well you understand your prevailing context and how well you're able to align your actions in the here and now to make sure you protect your future. In being creative, Asha and I have moved away from our preoccupation with the self to a new prism of the organization and its strategic context to view this way of being. The other thing we've done is to equate creativity with being different. With organizations and their strategies, there are these two ways of acting. One is acting to be different, and the other is acting to be better. Now, we've determined that acting to be better is all about benchmarking and all about being the same, only a little better. Whereas operating to be different is all about creativity, because it's about innovating in order to be distinctive. Three big challenges have made sure that the iConnected world is very different from the industrial paradigm that preceded it. These are the challenges of sustainability, globality, and social media. Sustainable development suddenly made it clear that it was not enough to have competitive advantage at any cost. The environment, the planet, and its people counted for something. Globality told us that it was no longer the Western world that was going to be innovating. Innovation happened all the time, anywhere, and products, services, and technologies could move along networks from any country to any other country. And finally, social media said that in a world with the power of one, where a single person could be connected through ubiquitous networks and amazing relationships to a plethora of platforms, communications attained a brand new meaning. The fifth and final way of being is being inclusive. A potpourri of cultures, nationalities, religions, and mindsets already color the canvas of our homes, our localities, our communities, our organizations, and even our nations. Today's citizen is a world citizen, and culturally contingent leadership that can lead the planet is an empowering leadership practice in this era of global movement of people. Social diversity brings immense benefits and immense challenges. Leaders who are able to embrace it and enable it will find that it contributes to their productivity and their organization's well-being. Culturally contingent leadership also enables the finding of common ground in diverse communities. It determines whether you as a leader will be leading a cabal of disparate and unhealthy relationships, or you will be leading a unified group of people who understand and respect each other and understand and respect the diverse capabilities they bring to the table. This book is written for you, the digital native, a proud citizen of the iConnected world, who's in knowledge, informed, involved, and energized by the vibrant online communities you belong to, and the relational networks of which you're a productive part. We have used concepts, models, frameworks, and theories from a variety of disciplines that we've arranged in an engaging narrative arc that we hope will interest and inform you. Many case studies and vignettes serve to illustrate some of our findings. Wherever possible, figures, tables, and pictures bring facts to life. Meticulous referencing ensures that you can be sure before you buy any of our arguments. Finally, the last chapter brings research evidence on the 5 ways of being from a study done in 2 countries with managers and leaders from a variety of sectors. As a leader in many walks of life, each one of you is hungry to know how you can be better. We hope that what we've produced in this book goes some ways to satisfying your need. Happy reading.